In my opinion, Volvo is one of the most underrated luxury brands out there. When most people see a Volvo drive by, they think, oh, there goes a driver that cares about safety and really not much else. Well, over the last few years, Volvo has really stepped up their game. Their interiors have some of the highest quality materials in the luxury segment, and they are really well put together. Their exterior design may not be as striking as other luxury brands, but they are elegant, classy, and timeless. And if you're one of the few car shoppers out there that still prefers a sedan over an SUV, congratulations, you're in rare existence, but I still appreciate you. But this sedan right here might just grab your attention. My name is Omar, and this is the 2022 Volvo S90. Like it or not, most, if not all, luxury brands out there are gunning towards offering a fully electric vehicle lineup. Volvo has promised that by 2030, it will only sell pure electric vehicles. But before going fully electric, Volvo will have a mix of plug-in hybrids, mild hybrids, and EVs in its lineup. And with that, there will no longer be any Ts like the T6 or the T8. All the mild hybrids will have a B in front of them, so you have the B4, the B5, and the B6. And the plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles will carry the recharge badge. The S90 that I'm driving here has a B6 under the hood, which includes a 4-cylinder turbo engine and an electrically driven supercharger. You also have a 48-volt hybrid system, and working all together, you get a total of 295 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Now we'll talk more about that and how this drives a little bit later, but first let's take a tour of this S90. We'll take a look at the inside and the very spacious rear seats. We'll take a look at the outside and the updated tech, and then I'll give you my opinion on how this drives and whether or not if you should consider buying a Volvo S90. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. All right, let's do this. All right, so let's get into it by looking around this interior, because I have to say this is one of the best interiors in the luxury segment. Now again, the Volvo S90 falls in this odd place when it comes to the size and price. The S90 starts at $57,000 for the base B6 all-wheel drive and tops out at $70,500 for the S90 T8e all-wheel drive, or now just known as Recharge. That price puts it next to the BMW 5 Series and the Mercedes Benz E Class. However, the S90 is slightly longer than both of those, stretching a total of over 200 inches. So technically, the S90 sits between the E Class and the S Class, or the 5 Series and the 7 Series. And because of that, you get a very spacious cabin. Hop in the second row and you're working with 40.4 inches of legroom. I'm about 6 foot tall. That is my seating position, as you can see. I've got legroom for days and days. But yeah, while this doesn't have all the glamour and elegance of the rear seats of, say, an S-Class, you can still get pretty comfortable back here. Now, if you're sitting behind the passenger seat, you have this little joystick toggle right here that will allow you to slide the passenger seat forward and fold it down as far as possible. And once you get it all the way forward and fold it down, you can really kick back and relax back here. You don't have an ottoman or a footrest like you do in the S-Class and other flagship luxury sedans. Of course, you do have side window peasant blockers or hater shades, so you can have some privacy back here. You also have a rear hater shade, so no one can peek at you from the back. But yeah, overall, this is a really nice place to be. Now, you can add on heated rear seats and ventilated rear seats, but you can't get massaging seats back here for some reason. If you throw in the lounge package for $1,500, that will give you heated and cooled rear seats, and it will give you massaging front seats, but no massaging rear seats, which I hope changes really soon. But yeah, I will say that these rear seats make the S90 a really spacious sedan for a family of 4 or even 5, even if you have a car seat back there. Now hop in the front seats, and again, the luxury, the elegance, and the quality continues. Again, this is an outstanding place to be. I have to say, Volvo's luxury is really underrated, and they deserve a lot more recognition. Just take a look and touch around this cabin and you won't find any plastic materials. Everything is either wrapped in leather, stitched, or is made of a soft touch material. Even the lower parts of the door panels are wrapped in leather, which is pretty crazy. And check this out, the lower parts of the center console, which in most vehicles is made of hard plastic, is wrapped in a felt material. And as you go through and just push on the panels and everything else, you don't hear any cracks or squeaks. Everything is really well put together. It's really impressive. These seats are pretty comfortable, but my test model here is the R design, so it's a little sportier. Now keep in mind, this is a 2022 model year of the S90, but Volvo is going through some changes, so this will no longer be called an R design. They're going to do something different with themes called bright, dark, etc. So we'll see how all that works out when it happens. But yeah, you get powered front seats for both the driver and the passenger, and you also get memory seats for both of the front seats, which is very impressive. Heated front seats on the S90 are standard, ventilated front seats and a heated steering wheel are all optional. By the way, you also get 4-zone climate control as standard on the S90. That said, let's get into talking about the tech. As standard, you get this 9-inch touchscreen display that houses Volvo's new Google-based infotainment system. It's much better than the last-gen infotainment that had a few glitches, to say the least. This one is pretty straightforward and very responsive. You get Google Maps as your navigation system, you get Google Assistant to help you out with controlling features and navigating to your next destination, and you get access to the Google Play Store to download other apps like Spotify or NPR or whatever you want. And yes, finally, there is a new over-the-air update that gives you Apple CarPlay, so that's pretty solid. While we're here, let's talk about driver assist tech really quick. As standard, my test model here has adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning with lane keeping aid, blind spot monitoring, driver alert control, and much more. Camera game-wise, you're working with the rear view camera as standard, but as a part of the advanced package, you can get a 360 view camera, and that will also give you a heads-up display. You also have a 12.3-inch digital instrument display that doesn't do anything crazy fancy in terms of customizations or animations. You do have a map view in here and some useful information, but that's really about it. Other than that, you get a Harman Kardon sound system as standard, but I highly recommend upgrading to the Bowers & Wilkins sound system for $3,200 more. It is by far the best sound system experience in the luxury segment. Nothing has really come close, for me at least. I mean, the Mercedes Benz Burmester sound system is pretty good, but you'll really appreciate how your music sounds with this Bowers & Wilkins sound system. And just in case you're wondering, cargo capacity for the S90 comes in at 13.5 cubic feet, which is pretty good. Now, not to spend too much time on the exterior because nothing really changes for the S90 for 2022. I've always been a huge fan of the exterior design of the S90. It's very bold and handsome, and it continues that way. Volvo made some minor changes to the 2021 model year with a new grille that caves slightly inward. There's a minor update to the rear taillights, and that's really about it. But yeah, you really can't tell the difference between the 2019, 2020, 2021, or the 2022 model year. You still have the really cool Thor hammer style headlamps, which is one of my favorite Volvo design elements. Wheel sizes range from 18 to 20-inch wheels. My test model here has the 20-inch wheels for an extra $800. Do I like it over the competitors like the Audi A6, the BMW 5 Series, the Genesis G80, the Mercedes Benz E Class? Well, it's definitely different. It doesn't demand your attention like some other models in the segment, but let's just say this is more about subtle sophistication. All right, so before I give you my opinion on how the Volvo S90 drives, let me put in a few important daily ownership highlights that I'll have to show all of you. You have 4 cup holders, 2 in the front right there, and then you have 2 in the back right there in the center armrest. Here are what the keys look like to the S90, just like every other Volvo key. On the side, you have your lock, unlock, and trunk button. On the back, you have your panic button. Door open and close sound from the outside and from the inside. Very solid. Charging game-wise, you're working with a wireless charger right there. You also have 2 USB-C ports in the center armrest. Rear passengers get 2 USB-C ports right there. Let's do an indicator and horn sound test. The indicator of Volvo's is actually the sound of a twig snapping in half. Pretty cool. Now for the horn sound, that is definitely solid. All right, let's take the S90 B6 for a spin. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but you also have a 13 horsepower starter generator system. What the heck does that mean? Basically, that just gives this an auto stop and start system that you can't turn off. Now, I personally always turn off auto stop start because I can't stand it. And at first, I gotta admit, I was a bit upset that you couldn't turn it off. But honestly, you can't feel it at all here in the S90. It's so seamless and so unnoticeable, you can't even tell that it's happening in the background. It's kind of crazy. Now, again, you're working with 295 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. You're working with an 8-speed automatic transmission that shifts incredibly smooth. 0 to 60 for the S90 B6 comes in at 6.2 seconds with a top speed of 112 miles an hour, which I guess is slow, but you're never really going that fast all of the time. So yeah, this thing isn't slow, but it isn't as quick as the outgoing S90 T6. I will say though that this feels so sharp and so direct. For a sedan of this size, this handles and moves in a very crisp manner. Now, Volvo has also taken away the drive modes that you used to have: comfort, eco, off-road, and dynamic, whatever they used to call it. But you don't have them anymore because Volvo says that their customers never really shift through drive modes. The only sporty option that you really have in here is to make the steering feel a little bit firm, and you can do a manual shift mode, but you don't have any paddle shifters. You just use the gear selector to shift manually, which isn't that bad. For someone like me that enjoys a little bit of customization to the drive, it's a little bit weird, but for a lot of people out there, they don't really care about drive modes. My wife, since day one, since she's had her car, she's never put it in sport mode. It's always been in the default comfort mode that it starts up in. So, is the S90 a comfortable daily driver? Well, I'll say this, it doesn't feel as smooth and as comfortable as, say, an E Class. You feel bumps and imperfections on the road a little bit more than you do in the competition, but it isn't terribly bad. I would recommend adding on the air suspension option to help smoothen that out a bit. However, as a daily driver, this offers some fun driving dynamics and a somewhat smooth ride quality. It's kind of between firm and smooth. It's not totally comfortable and it's not totally firm. It's right in between. Fuel economy wise, the S90 B6 gets an EPA rated 23 miles per gallon city and 31 miles per gallon highway, if those figures mean anything to you. I'm averaging a total of, after 10 hours and 36 minutes of driving, a total of 24 miles per gallon. Not bad. So do I recommend getting the S90 over the competition? Well, if you're in the market for a sedan and rear legroom is of concern to you, then yes, definitely yes. I honestly feel that this interior is better than a lot of the luxury competition out there, and that's not just because of the legroom. The quality and the sturdy look and feel really helps this set itself apart from the competition. I mean, everything in here is really well put together. And hey, that starting price tag of $57,000 is also pretty impressive. As tested here, you're looking at $64,540. Not to mention, that's with that amazing Bowers & Wilkins sound system. This is about $5 to $6 grand cheaper than my wife's 5 Series. I just feel like you get more car with the S90 than you do with the 5 Series or the E Class, and all these sedans are pretty inconspicuous. Nobody really turns heads and looks at them and, oh my god, there's an E Class or there's a 5 Series, unless you're driving the M5 or the E63. But if you line up the Volvo S90 and the 5 Series and E Class, not gonna really grab much attention. Either way, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. My handle is @omardrives. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace. Is it me or does anybody else feel that this whole B4, B5, B6 sounds like a bunch of vitamins? Hey, have you taken your Volvo vitamins today? Yep, I took my B4, B5, and B6. I'm good to go, feeling strong and healthy. Weird.